Yes, guys, it's your boy Jack at the Irish Hotspur, joined by Kuva from Tottenham Tantrum Gold and James from Spurs related. David is off. He's already probably touched down in London, probably finding some place to hang around and find something to do for the next few more hours. He's already in, but as well, I believe who is it? It's also I think Sean has also made the trip up over. I'm getting a bit of feedback, by the way, guys, from somebody. Think
Yeah,
somebody
I'm hearing that as well.
getting a bit of feedback, but maybe a bit better now. I think it's a bit better. No
Yeah.
problem. We'll keep moving on. But just want to say, wish everybody, David as well as Sean, a big game day. Especially they'll be screaming it from the rooftops. David as well is going to be, probably pulling some sort of scissor kind of routine on Harry Kane at some stage when he's scoring the goals. Going to be sniffing the hair. But without further ado, let's greet the panelists here. It's going to be a short little pre-match build-up, but we're certainly going to cover a lot. Kuva from Tottenham Tantrum Gold, how you doing, my man?
Not too bad, Jack. Looking forward to the game. Despite midweek, you still get back on the horse and enthusiasm starts going for match day, doesn't it?
Always get back on the horse. I love it. James, how we keeping?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Jack. Pleasure to be here as always on these pre-match pump-ups. I absolutely love them, and gets me in a positive mindset for the game. Even though after obviously Wednesday's nightmare, a lot of fans feeling a little bit negative about Spurs. Sort of all jumped off the top four horse again, like Cooper was saying. But I'm ready to be back positive, looking for putting things right today, mate. And yeah, pleasure to talk on this channel as always.
Looking forward to it. We're going to cover a lot, so you guys better bring your A game for it. But we have to talk to the Harris Army first. Give them a bit of a greeting. But as always, everybody, do hit that subscribe, do hit that like button, and do throw in a super chat if you have anything maybe to discuss with the panelists today. But we do have Celery Agent in the building. He's saying, have a great time at the game, David. And Jack, we trust. The show must go on. It always goes on. Moondog, good to see you. My man, he's gone 3-0. Elias as well has gone 4-0. I mean, these are spectacular. We're just going to shatter that defensive record. I absolutely love it. Kyle Patrick Vineyard, KPV, the best three-letter name abbreviation, better than JWP, better than KWP. KPV, the best one in the business. Big yourself up, Kyle Patrick Vineyard. Thank you for joining. We'll see you Monday, my man. Lee the Yid, good to see you as well. He's wishing David a good day at the game, and I'm sure I have it covered. We'll find a way. We'll find some questions under the couch cushions. Welsh gal in the building as well. Good to see you. Ribsy85, good to see you as well. I do have to kind of storm through this, everybody, because we are a bit pressed for time. Mick as well. He's gone Spurs 2-1. Stevie Frazier, morning to you as well. And morning, he's just greeting everybody a good morning. Good to see you. Good vibes from Stevie Frazier here. Chris as well, absolute legend. He says, yeah, we need to make amends. Get back on the horse, though, Chris, just like Kuva said. A deal, absolute perfect opportunity. Pose Dog, good to see you. Just making sure. Alfie Gosling, as always, absolute legend. Hashtag Coys as well. William Pretty. Rockstar 90, always so nice to me as well. Rockstar 90, Pete Ross, good to see you. Spurs related as well, getting their kind of comments in there. Mark Burke, good to see you. Massive win, must win. Come on, you Spurs. Kevin K is in the building. Lee the Yid is in the building. Just making sure. Dom Joy, Wolf Mauler. I haven't seen Wolf Mauler in a long time. He said, I'm betting the farm on a 2-1 Spurs win. Come on, you Spurs. Wolf, it's probably really early for you, your time. It must be like 4 a.m., my man. So hopefully you're keeping well. It's good to see you back in here, Wolf. I haven't seen you in a while. Leighton Evelyn as well. Good to see you. Carl Simpson, absolute legend. Peter Simons, absolute legend. Just making sure. Rhea Solarin, absolute legend. She's gone a 2-1 Spurs win. Jason Groves, 2-1 Spurs win for Martin here. Joe 27, hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to the legends on the panel. Let's hope we can get a win today. Man City next week. Loving it. Big Boss Man with a woo! A little early for me to do that one, but and the vocal cords are hers. Big Boss Man, I owe you a better one next time. Do call me up on it. Do call me out on it next time, Big Boss Man. I owe you a better one later. Wemberley, good to see you as well. Tin Man 007, the absolute legend, Marcelo Vera, and Alex Apostolou, and the Birdie. Good to see all of you. Thank you for joining, everybody. Really do appreciate you for joining this pre-match build-up, as always. And I'm going to be taking the role this time, and I am really looking forward to this one, where we are going to be, kind of doing the David sort of like all the information that you need to know about the game is now coming from me this time. So I am looking forward to this. But it is home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, everybody. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. Referee is Kevin Friend, and certainly might not be our friend today. VAR is Andre Mariner. That is not a good combination. That is not a good combination.
Can we end the stream here? Like, honestly.
Yeah.
Kevin Friend and Andre Mariner. Like, you couldn't have hit me with 4 worse words there, Jack, to start things off.
Mariner and Friend. It's probably the worst concoction of referees you can probably put together. TV channel, Peacock USA, DAZN in Canada, and then apparently not on telly in the UK and Ireland. I tell you guys have it tough. Watch along 1:45 UK time. Pre-match pump up is happening right now. And Tottenham, everybody, let's just go over quickly. Last 5, we won 2, drawn 1, lost 2. Not the best sort of form. Tottenham have 4 of their last 7 matches in all competitions, having been defeated just once in their first 11 games under Antonio Conte. So, I mean, guys, it's I wouldn't say the wheels are coming under from Conte, but Conte, all these records that he thought he would be breaking are all the wrong kind of records. I'll tell you that when it comes to his career and his resume. Against Southampton in midweek, Conte suffered his first home league defeat in 23 matches dating back to October 2020 when he was at Inter Milan. Conte is looking to avoid losing 3 consecutive league games for the first time since November 2009 during his time in charge of Atalanta, everybody. 2009 was the last time he lost 3 consecutive league games. These are not the kind of things we want to be reading. Spurs have benefited from 3 own goals in the top flight this season, more than any other side. You do love to see it. They could equal, that's actually, more goals than some of our goal scorers, to be fair. They could equal their Premier League club record of scoring 2 or more goals in 2 or more own goals in 7 successive home matches. Son Heung-min has been directly involved in 7 goals in his last 7 Premier League matches, scoring 5 and assisting 2. Each of these goals have been scored in the second half, with each coming in or later than the 65th minute. There you are, everybody, all on Spurs. I must say, as much as Sonny's people are saying is in bad form, the guy's been an absolute menace still when it comes to just still showing up on the score sheet. But just quickly, before I get to Wolves, Dark Sun G in the house saying Bentancur is a must start ahead of Winks. Come on, Spurs. Son versus Hwang. Really fun and hard game to watch as Korean. 11 p.m. kickoff in Korea. Will you show the lineup? I will show the lineup. I will definitely put it on screen at some stage since it will be happening at around, I believe, 1 p.m. Will be around the time that it will start to come around. So Dark Sun G, do stay tuned for it, my man. But Son versus Hwang, I could see how that could be really conflicting, to be honest, especially since I believe they were both rested, if I'm not mistaken, for internationals at Dark Sun G. So maybe Hwang Hee-chan will be making an appearance against his fellow countrymen. And I don't know, guys. I mean, and also, actually, before I get to this, Dark Sun G, I will say 11 p.m. That's actually probably the best time for Dark Sun G, actually, to be fair. But an 11 p.m. is actually quite nice for him. Normally, he's dealing with the 3:30 a.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m. sort of kickoff. So 11 p.m. actually might not be that bad. But, guys, do you feel like this is kind of a must start probably for Bentancur? Like, if Bentancur doesn't start today, should we be concerned? Maybe Kuva, what do you say?
Absolutely. At the moment, he's our only midfielder that's performing. So, I can't see any reason whatsoever why he wouldn't start. He's shown his class when he's come on. He's just got that quality about him, the sort of confidence, and he almost struts when he's playing. He's directing players around. He can't get knocked off the ball. He can pick the passes out brilliantly. Got everything we need. He's turned out to be what looked like the underwhelming signing that came good that some of us were sort of talking about earlier in the season. I'd be tempted to play a 5-man midfield even though we're at home because we surrendered it so easily against Southampton. Might have to play Winks, It's not ideal, but at the moment, what have we got?
You're talking yourself into traps here, Kuva. You're talking yourself into traps.
It's looking that way. I mean, the 3-4-3 is just not working very well for us. I mean, do we play Højbjerg and Bentancur together as a 2-man central midfield?
We got to start finding out what combination's the best one with Bentancur, because it seems like what goes better with the Bentancur.
Maybe Kulusevski is the advanced sort of playmaker. not quite a cam role, but it's very similar to it, sitting in behind Kane and Sonny. That would at least get Kane in the box more where he should be.
Yeah, I mean, we're just starting to question, like, what goes better with the Bentoncourt? Is it a Højbjerg? Is it a Winks? Is it a Skip? You know, it's kind of like what goes better with your coffee. But
yeah.
James, I mean, is Bentoncourt, would you be worried? Would you be, you know, a bit deflated, let's say, if Bentoncourt doesn't start today?
Well, I was just doing, before we started this stream, our predicted lineups on this app that we do for Spurs Related. And I put Bentancur and Højbjerg in there as the two centre mids. I think it'd be a 3-4-3. Even though Kuva's right in saying this 3-4-3 isn't working, we haven't tried Højbjerg and Bentancur. Bentancur hasn't started a game. And yeah, I mean, 3-4-3 is never going to work when you've got Winks in midfield. The guy is basically, it's like playing a 3-3-3. So it's basically like having, one centre mid at times. So although that may appear a little bit harsh, obviously Winks has been stepping it up for Conte. He's really not got the quality we need in midfield. So let's see Bentancur and Højbjerg today. It might absolutely blow us out the park, and we'll be like, that is the two in midfield we need. But if we don't try these things, like you said, Jack, then we're never going to know who's the best two. So it's time to try those two today, especially with Skip still out. And Winks being absolutely shocking on Wednesday, along with Emerson. I think Doherty will start, but I'm sure we'll get into that later down the line.
We'll get into it. But Højbjerg, as much as I hate to admit it, I think he was almost equally as shocking at moments with Winks. So we'll just see which one better partners Bentoncourt. We'll see which one is better.
But do you know what, Jack? They were both poor. You're spot on. But also, you got to feel a little bit for Højbjerg in this situation. He's working with Winks in midfield, who really 17 times he lost the ball, 17 in 90 minutes of football. In fact, he didn't even play 90 minutes. So he's lost the ball 17 times. That's once every 4 minutes. You can't be doing that in midfield in a big game like that against Southampton.
It's reckless. It's a great stat there, James, as well. I mean, it's almost apocalyptic. How many times he's
trouble is when Højbjerg's backing it up with his long punts, aimless punts down the middle of the pitch as well. We were just awful, weren't we?
But Bentancur, but that's right.
I'm
Kuva.
A fan of those long, aimless punts, though, Kuva. So I would watch him out there. I'm a big fan of those.
Yeah, Harry Redknapp.
Dark Sun G, though, do really appreciate the support, everybody. But following Dark Sun G's footsteps, everybody, if you do want to stop the show, since I am just kind of running it on my own, so if you do feel like you want to skip the queue, like David says, do feel free to throw it in a super chat. But just going to finish up on Wolves really quickly. Last 5, 1-3, lost 2. Wolves have won 2 of their last 3 away league games against Spurs, as many as they had in their previous 15. However, they did lose their fixture 2-0 last time in this sort of fixture last season. Basically, it's actually funny, guys. I think it's something like 8 of the last 15 matches or something, or at least something like the away team has actually won more matches than the home team in the last 15 matches between these two sides. It's something actually quite interesting. Wolves are looking to win 4 successive away matches in the top flight for the first time since April 1980. So they are in good away form, everybody, compared to us. 6 of Wolves' 8 defeats this season have been a 1-0 scoreline. They have failed to score in all 8 losses. Their run of 14 league games without conceding a first half goal came to an end against Arsenal on Thursday. Interesting. So it is difficult to score against them in the first half. No side has conceded fewer Premier League away goals this season than the 8 by Wolves, level with Chelsea and Manchester City. So they become even more frustrating to play against when they are away from home. There have been just 36 goals scored in the league against matches involving Wolves this season, 19-4, 17 against, at least 5 fewer than any other team in the top 5 European leagues this campaign. So this is a team, everybody, where if you like watching goals go in the back of the net, whether for them or against them, I mean, certainly not your team. This is basically just a team to just watch the ball just kind of be kicked about.
Do you know what though, Jack? It's a very good point. We were reviewing this as well, and we noticed that Wolves obviously
any 3-0 scoreline would be absurd. Like that would be absolutely absurd, basically. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly. They don't concede many, but actually, if you look at the head-to-head record between Tottenham and Wolves, the scoring is actually very high. Especially like last year, you think they won 3-2 at our stadium. There was a 3-2 in another fixture. There's a lot of goals in this fixture.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, perhaps this is just maybe, like kind of an anomaly or kind of,
Yeah.
exception to the rule, perhaps. And then just finally, goalkeeper Jose Sa is conceding a goal every 124 minutes in away Premier League contests, the second best average of any goalkeeper to play 10 plus matches in the competition's history, behind only Ederson, one every 127 minutes for Ederson. So basically, all these stats out there that Jose Sa has perhaps been the second best goalkeeper in the entire Premier League this season, if not the best one. So there you are as well. He's certainly been an unbelievable signing for them. But bit of injury news. Obviously, Oliver Skip is out. Tanganga out with a knee. Eric Dyer out with a thigh. Joao Moutinho will be available for this one. Hwang Hee-chan suffered a back spasm getting off the coach or getting off the bus for that game, I believe, against Arsenal, and is a doubt for this one. So funny enough, getting off the bus, he actually suffered an injury, Dark Sun G. So this is why I'm a bit skeptical about whether he will be available. Willy Bolly has a calf problem. Pedro Neto is still out. And then I've never heard of this guy, but Mosquera is also out. But we will move on, and we'll go to James here first. Conte's fiery touchline exchange did not appear to galvanize his troops during the visit of Southampton. If you remember that, James, that moment when we saw Conte just getting fired up, on the sidelines, getting in Hasenhutl's face. Conte admitted, though, James, that Spurs were too emotional after his own outburst on the night, and Conte is now taking blame for the players' poor showing on Wednesday. Do you think we'll see a reaction now out of the players, since Conte's essentially taken blame even for the last loss?
Do you know what? I fully respect him for taking the blame, because actually a lot of fans, including myself, were commenting on some of his tactics on Wednesday. He didn't mix it up quick enough when things were going wrong. And we saw several players that were really underperforming that needed to be taken off and didn't. And it was all a little bit too late, wasn't it, with the substitutions? But I'm really glad he's taken the blame for it. However, it shouldn't just be him that's taking the blame. However, when you look at those individual performances, Emerson, Winks, Sanchez, Davies, absolutely shocking. All of them, absolutely shocking. Like, almost that they don't deserve to start, most of them. And I think it's great that he's taken the blame. When obviously the incident happened, when he was shushing all the, the Wolves staff, and, he was getting up in it, everyone was loving it. All the Spurs fans were loving it. So let's not say he shouldn't have done it, because we were all loving it on social media, absolutely loving it. And it obviously backfired, and it made a bit of a mockery of the whole situation, really, with the fact they scored 2 in 2 minutes after that. So let's not say he shouldn't have done all that, because we were absolutely loving it. If we went and won, that would have been all over social media for the last week. So, I absolutely love his passion, and I love the fact he's taken the blame. But, I think it's just time to wipe the slate clean. Let's not think about Wednesday. Let's crack on. Let's change a couple of people in the starting 11, including Bentancur, and let's get things right. Let's get things back on the road for top 4.
Let's get things right. Let's get back on the horse, get back on the saddle, like Kuva was saying. But Kuva, Spurs did at least keep up their hot goal scoring streak against Southampton. It was weird. We still put 2 in the back of the net. Now finding at the back of the net at least twice in their last 6 home games in the Premier League, Kuva. If we replicate this again today, do we win the game, considering Wolves have only scored 19 games so far this season? Do you feel like if we grab 1 goal, even 2 goals, and let's say we grab 1 goal in the first half, Kuva, do you see us winning this game?
Well, statistically, you'd have to say if we get 2 goals, we're going to win it, because Wolves
2 goals, we're going to win it. But I'm going to make it harder for you. I'm not going to make it easy for you. So I'm going to say 1 goal in the first half. Would you make your bets that we still win it?
No, definitely not. We've got mistakes in us all the time. You can't fix the right wing back situation. You can shuffle around the pack a little bit in the back 3, but until Dyer's back and we can shift Romero to that right-sided centre back position, we look fragile. Hugo is I don't know if it's a deliberate ploy, but he seems to not be coming out to claim crosses as much as he was earlier in the season. Perhaps that's just the quality of the crosses coming in, stopping him, making him hesitate on his decision making. Possibly when James Ward-Prowse is doing it, it's going to be a quality cross anyway. But no, I certainly don't think we'll win it if we only score 1 goal. Although
I'll find your delusion. It's in
there
somewhere.
We're going to go with the sensible head first. Wolves don't score goals, don't concede goals. They're good on the road. we've been playing fairly well, bar the Southampton game. We've been pretty good at home.
Yeah.
So it suggests they'll get something out of the game. We'll get something out of the game, a 1-1. But I mean, it's the Irish Hotspur. Let's use some Irish logic.
No,
you know,
each passing question, you know, it like sedates you into, you know, the delusion mode. So, you know, we'll get you in there eventually.
All right.
But I mean, to you, James, another question here. Wolves
Mm.
continue to be driven through strong defensive numbers, sitting 6th in expected goals against, but just 18th in expected goals. Is today's game going to be a lot tighter and closer than what many Spurs fans think? Basically, is this going to be one of those games where it's almost like chess pieces being moved about? You know, it's not really going to be like, you know, a basketball game where it's really back and forth. It's really, you know, end to end. It's going to be very methodical and almost to a degree, almost kind of sleepy kind of game.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be the best game of football. I think it won't be pretty if we do win. I think I'll give my score prediction later, but I do think it will be tighter than we think. And I've already seen a lot of 5-0, 6-1s in the chat. I hate to break it to you. If that happens, I'll come back on and say, you know, apologies, but I cannot see that high scoring game for us. To be honest with you, Jack. And I think I saw a bit of your stats with Jack when you were analysing the tactics as well. I thought you were spot on. There's going to be like really key battles where the game's won and lost. Like whoever's performing better in those positions, whoever's on their game on the day today, and whoever's got the least mistakes in them. That Kuva makes a good point. Like if we go 1-0 up at half time, we know that Davinson Sanchez has a mistake in him. Ben Davies can slip over and do what he did on Wednesday. Emerson, if he plays, Doherty, if he plays, Winks, if he plays, you know, the list goes on. That's one hand I've counted of mistakes that are in this team. If we score one, that's not game over. And I'd just like to add, I don't even think if it's 2-0, it's game over. We saw it on Wednesday. Wolves are a decent side. Yeah, they're not scoring many goals, 18th in the league for scoring goals. However, you've got to remember they beat us 3-2 at the Tottenham Stadium. Was it last season or the season before? So quite recently. Yes, their team's changed and stuff. But, you know, Tottenham aren't the best defensively. We know that. We're not the best in midfield. We score goals. But even so, like Harry Kane's not in his game at the moment, really. Like better than before, but still not prime Harry Kane. So we can't be resting our laurels if we're 2-0 up. That's for sure.
Wow. There you are. I mean, 1-0, not enough for Kuva, you know, not enough safety. 2-0, not enough safety for James. I'm just going to say, guys, I mean, 0-0 is good enough for me. You know, I'm just going to say before the ball's even kicked, I think we've won this one. So clearly we're all in different spectrums.
You really
clearly
are
we're all in different
shoes.
spectrums of delusion here. But Dark Sun G with the super chat saying, I hope Pierre Mahoybier can score against Wolves like last season at home. I really want Bentancur to get an assist today. Son to score today. It's time for a Reggie goal as well. Pick your choice, Dark Sun G. It sounds like we're getting 4 goals today, my man. It sounds like we're getting. Actually, this is what's really funny. Last night on Stats with Jack, Dark Sun G, I think his score prediction did involve just 3 goals, and normally all of his score predictions involve at least 4 or 5 goals being past the opponent. So the fact that he's even gone for just 3 last night against Wolves really does suggest how good that defense is. But Bentancur maybe to grab an assist, potentially. Doesn't really seem like the guy that would grab an assist. He seems like the guy that would be the pass to the assist kind of person for us. But I feel like Sonny is going to grab a goal. And I feel like even when Sonny doesn't play very well, he still grabs a goal at the end of the day for me, Kuva. And that's what I think makes Sonny actually quite spectacular is even when you hear people kind of criticize him for not having a good game, it's like, that's funny. He still came out with a goal and assist, you know, like sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why Sonny's such a good player. Play an average game, he might not do much for the 89 minutes of the 90. Pops up with a goal, pops up with an assist. He keeps doing it. He's consistent in that. With him out of the team, he left with basically Harry Kane as your real goal threat. I mean, Lucas Moura, he scored. I think I spotted this statistic the other day. I don't think he's even scored 20 league goals for us yet. So it shows how much he's offering when it really counts with Lucas Moura. I mean, you get some big games out of him, but it's not on a consistent basis. So Sonny's it's essential. The thing is, always look at these sort of statistics when you're looking at it, pairing up, trying to predict a result. If somebody like Wolves, they go so long with the sort of not conceding, not scoring. You think that's going to happen every game. Then all of a sudden, one game comes along where things go crazy. hopefully we're the team that makes it go crazy this time. Smack a lot of goals in there. Get an absolutely insane sort of 7-goal thriller out of it or something. That'll be fantastic.
Wow. Coover, you really are on Irish Hotspur mode today, aren't you? It's unbelievable.
It's called Irish logic, mate. It happens every now and then. Well, I remember when we were on runs like this, we just couldn't lose at home or something. Then somebody come up and spank us, and it was like completely out of the blue. You just get these things sometimes. It's like Liverpool getting hammered at Villa the other season. What was it, 7-4? I mean,
yeah, that's right. That was a
you'd
fluke.
never see that sort of thing happening in a million years. They just
that was bizarre.
Just occasionally they throw up like that. So I'm kind of nervous about it. It's not all the stats point to it being a low scoring game, very difficult to win. But let's
never know.
Do that.
You never know. But I mean, I'm going to say Dark Sun G, the Sun goal is happening today. I'm going to say Sonny's going to be the scorer. Reggie getting that goal. I mean, Sonny, I don't know, like Sonny's getting the goal, but like Reggie, he's just really, guys, like when he missed that chance, I just felt like heartbroken. Like I was just like, I really don't think this guy could actually finish goals. Like we're just going to have to come to, he's great at assists. He's great at being that assist man for us. He's great at being that deliverer. He's great at being that option, but in terms of actually putting the ball in the back of the net, Reggie seems like he needs to see like a psychiatrist or something like that, because some of the chances he's either passed on this season or missed this season, you kind of think like there must be something, like it's almost like he has the yips or something like that.
But Jack, do you know what? When he was through on goal, I don't know about anyone else, I just knew he was missing that. Like
that's horrible.
Anyone
that's
else,
horrible. That's
anyone
horrible,
else in that team, even Davinson Sanchez, I'd have probably put my money on. But like, honestly, Reguilon, I don't know what it is. The guy is so accurate at hitting that goalkeeper straight down the middle. Like straight down the middle every time. And do you know what? The only goal he scored for us is that tap in against Leeds where it came off the post. And honestly, he could have done what you do at primary school where you get on your hands and knees and hit him with your head. He could have done that. So I
wish he had.
It'd been more iconic, wouldn't
it? Absolutely. I mean, that's scary to me that you actually, when he was on goal, you were like,
honestly, I promise you, I did. I was watching it with my dad, and I said he's gonna miss, and he did.
That's horrible. I actually was getting ready for him to bury that. It really was. I had all the confidence in the world.
Jack.
Yeah, you see it with some penalty takers as well. You look at their run up and you think he's missing this.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you guys are talking about. But all I can say is when Reggie was through there, I had full confidence, and that's why Dark Sun G, when he missed that, it felt like a bit of a betrayal. Felt like a bit of a, not that, just I felt like I now see where people are coming from, where this guy just can't finish. I now see where people are coming from.
I'll give him one thing though. He is at least hitting the target with it. He's not.
He's at least putting it,
blazing it there.
It's great for his shot accuracy stats, but it's not great for us as fans. It's really not.
Yeah, I know.
He's putting himself in great positions. At least that's what we sometimes. I mean, there's so many bare minimums, I guess, we have at this club, and at least he's putting himself in good positions. But Dark Sun G, do really appreciate it, my man. I mean, great talking point, brother. But we do have yet again another question, kind of talking about the goals that Wolves have either not conceded or the lack of goals they have actually scored. And to you, James, Wolves have only scored 19 goals in 22 games compared to our 28 goals scored in 21 games. But defensively, we have obviously been the team leaking goals this season. Should we just maybe open up for it? Maybe like Kuva was even saying earlier, and just try to outscore them, just kind of open ourselves up for maybe potentially getting hurt and just try to really go for those 2-0, 3-0 kind of performances. And do you even think we have the players to do it? Basically, do you think we're better off just trying to outscore them and maybe get away with maybe letting a goal go in?
Do you know what? I wouldn't put it as bluntly as trying to outscore them, because we know, even like I said, even if we go 2 goals up, we're leaky enough to concede a couple. So maybe not in that sense, but I would play more attacking football. Like, it was frustrating me against Southampton how behind the ball we were from minute 1. In the first half, it was all Southampton, especially like the first 20 minutes. Like, we were behind the ball. We were sort of 10 men behind the ball at times, with just Son up there on his own. And it was like, I was just thinking, like, who's the home team here? Like, we were at home and we were sitting back. And that's what frustrates me. We need to be on the front foot from minute 1 today. So kind of going back to your question, I would say, let's not just, go all out, try and score 4 goals and they might score 2. I would say, let's start on the front foot play more attacking, free-flowing football, be more solid defensively. I know it's very easy to say sitting from my chair in my office, but I don't mean that. I mean in terms of let's eliminate the mistakes, but the more you have the ball in attack, the less you have to worry about it in defense. So it's not exactly rocket science. We need to start on the front foot, play the ball in their half, not our half, because that's what we were doing against Southampton to start with. And that's why they had 23 shots, Southampton, and we had, 8 shots? We cannot be having, it's not a game of who has the most shots, but it's a game of the more shots you have, the more likely you're going to score and win the game. So we need to get the ball up the pitch more today from minute one. That's what I would say.
I kind of like that answer. And same question to you then, Kuva, just because you were kind of, I feel like 2 degrees, somewhat related. We're kind of speaking on this. Do you feel like we are better off just maybe just kind of, accepting that Sanchez might let one in and maybe just really go for it full throttle?
Absolutely. I'm all for attacking football at all times.
There you go.
Get front foot, as James said, front foot, get at them right in their faces, really aggressively press them, because we're not doing that lately. We're letting teams come at us. I think we get the team moving forward. As James said, if you play the game in their half, they can't score a goal there, can they? One thing the likes of Davinson Sanchez has got is a bit of pace to recover if somebody does break our sort of high defensive line, if we're going to play that way. When we sit back and play on the counter, the mistakes we make are in and around our box all the time. It's lethal. So it's a bit of a toss-up on it, because unfortunately, at the end of the day, we know our team still isn't good enough. We know we need to improve in a lot of areas. So how do you get the best out of it at the moment? I think perhaps some people are looking to criticise Conte a little bit with team selections, but for me, I think he's still trying to learn it. He's trying to push players to drag themselves out of trouble when they're playing badly and see if he can depend on them in the long run, because come the summer, he's going to be looking to replace a lot of these. So if we are struggling, do you keep them on a little bit longer, or do you chop and change it and then perhaps not really learn about their resilience? It's a really difficult one, that.
It is a tough one, that, actually.
Yeah,
and it felt like we did that with Tanganga for a second. It felt like, we were going to try to see if Tanganga had a bit of that resilience. It turns out, you just needed to put him out on loan. But I know what you mean, actually. I do sometimes feel like we should try that. I felt like we should have done that with Stevie B. That's just why I've not been a big Stevie B fan. I know James is definitely, he knows that. But when he scored that goal against Leicester, I kind of felt like, let's see, what he's all about. Maybe, keep playing him, even see what he's all about. I feel a bit bad for him, the fact that he's kind of warming the bench, kind of again after, showing that bit of resilience with those 2 goals against Leicester. I felt like he then deserved maybe to get a run of games. And I think it's the other way around, where if a player isn't playing very well, sometimes you do want to give them a few more games just to see if they really can, kind of, build a bit of armor, build a bit of a shield about it. Completely agree, Kuva. Completely agree.
The other thing about pushing them high up and really getting forward is it puts Harry Kane into the box rather than him having to drop back all the time.
Yeah.
Because I thought he actually had a good game against Southampton, but we don't want him having a good game dropping back into midfield. We want his good game in the box.
Yeah. And he can still be that incredible passer, that incredible creator in and around the box. He doesn't need to drop deep in order to be that incredible creator that we know he can. You're spot on. Dark Sun G here with another super chat. Big yourself up, Dark Sun G. And he says, I expect a 3-1 win today if Hwang doesn't play. However, if Hwang plays, it will be a 2-2 or a last minute 3-2 win. Son, Reggie, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, or Kane to score. Neves and Hwang are the other scorers. But I mean, I'm going to kind of, I'm going to break this up for both of you. Who do you see being the Wolves scorers, Kuva? For me, Neves, I think, is certainly a good shout, especially a long distance sort of kind of crack, out of nowhere. I could see going in, and kind of stun us and, maybe catch us off guard. He is like James Ward-Prowse, where he could kind of hit one from distance, and all of a sudden, we're down 1-0. Jimenez certainly is a decent option for them. I feel like he sometimes is a bit disrespected. But there are a lot of good players in Wolves' team, but not really a lot of goal scorers. So if Wolves were to score, Kuva, who do you think would be that goal scorer?
Well, we certainly know Neves has got an excellent long-range shot on him. If Moutinho does play, so is he.
Yeah, they both have great long-range shots.
So there's a bit of
I think
looking the way you are. Yeah,
Coutinho
looking
is
at the
going
way
to
our
be out.
midfield's been playing, we leave loads of space for players to line up and have a pop. You know, if we're letting James Ward-Prowse cross like that, we're letting players have shots as well.
Yeah,
It doesn't bode well. Otherwise, if Martinho isn't playing, they might have I've forgotten his name now. Dendonka, is it? The big lump that can come on. He's just the sort of player that you don't rate, but he's the sort of one that does pop up in the box and gets a goal because you're not defending properly. And they've got a few players like that. I mean, if Jimenez is on his game as well, he's definitely a threat. He used to be an absolute quality player till his injury. He's been struggling a bit since, but you never know. He might suddenly click one day. Yeah, he's got the quality there. Question is, can they get the ball to him in the right areas at the right times?
Yeah. He seems to be he doesn't seem to be as frustrated I'm a big fan of his actually, and he doesn't seem to be as frustrated from what I can tell under Bruno Lage than he has been under Nuno. Under Nuno, there were a lot of times where I saw Jimenez throwing a few temper tantrums, kind of like over, how little of the ball he was seeing, similar to maybe what Harry Kane to a degree might have been doing. So
must be absolutely horrendous being a forward under Nuno.
Yeah, under Nuno. So he seems to be a bit happier. But for me, Dark Sun G, I think that Neves shout is a really good one. And if Hwang starts, Hwang is the tied for top goal scorer in the Wolves squad, everybody. And Hwang Hee-chan, he's played like nowhere near as many minutes as everybody. And he's tied with Jimenez for top goal scorer. So it really has been an unbelievable signing for them. But who's going to be our goal scorers, James?
Oh, we're going with our goal scorers. Okay, I was ready for the Wolves one.
No, Kuve answered that one, my man.
Yeah. I think the only player you didn't mention in what you were saying then was probably Daniel Podence. I think he's a good little player. Good little player. Watch out for him, especially as sorry to go to the Wolves one again, but he kind of reminds me of the fact that on Wednesday against Southampton we were so lackluster in defence and we were letting people run at our defence. Podence will run at our defence today, and the coach will know exactly.
Coming up against Sanchez and Emerson, it's a bit worrisome.
But he's got such a low centre of gravity. He's a really small player, and he's going to run at our defence, and our defence will make a clumsy challenge or won't get near him. So I think watch out for him as well today. I've got to say that one.
Yeah.
You can already see Sanchez's legs in a knot as he
that's why I put that as a key battle. I actually put Sanchez versus Podence as a key battle because I was like,
watch out for him.
Podence, though, I think you're spot on though, James, because Podence, it's like he's almost the exact opposite of Sanchez, where he doesn't rely on extraordinary athleticism, doesn't rely on like huge amount of strength or anything. He has an exceptional first touch, and he's kind of has those sort of players where the ball is just kind of glued to their foot the whole time. It just never seems to really go 3 inches away from their foot ever. He's that sort of player when he moves with it, and that worries me because I feel like then Sanchez, like, he's not really reaching in for anything. He's just going to either take him out or he's just going to get tied up in knots, Bambi style on ice, and it's going to be worrisome. I think that is a true key battle, actually.
Yeah,
I could see Podence absolutely destroying him.
100%. There's a good comment here from CCH in the chat. Podence reminds me of Hazard, but not as good as him.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly that. The ball glues to his feet. He loves dribbling in and out defenders. He'll run at defenders. And that is exactly what we do not want today if our defence play like they did on Wednesday. So I thought I'd highlight that one because watch out for this guy. I mean, clip me now. He'll probably go and score now. but let's see. But Tottenham scorers. You got to say Sonny. He's on fire in terms of like Kuva said earlier, he's not even playing amazingly, but he's still chipping in with like a goal. He's the right place, the right time. He's making incredible runs like we saw against Brighton, setting up Kane. So I'd go Son as my sort of number one choice. But if we're going for sort of classic, back on track kind of, it's got to be Harry Kane, obviously. I know I've just named the two obvious players, Son and Kane, but I mean, for me, I think it looks like Lucas will start, and the lineups have just come out now.
Yeah, lineups have just come out, so I'll read them aloud, everybody. Lineups have just come out. Lloris is captain in goals. Doherty instead of Emerson at probably right wing back, it looks like, but potentially you've gone for a back four here. Doherty, Sanchez, Romero, Davies, Sessegnon. So it is a back five. So Doherty at right wing back, Sanchez right-sided center back, Romero in the middle, Davies left-sided center back with Sessegnon in there instead of Reguilon. Bentancur, maybe because of the finishing, some people did say Sessegnon maybe has the better finish, but I don't think Reguilon is anywhere. I don't think he's a problem for us.
He must have a knock.
Yeah,
Must have.
I think so as well. Yeah.
Bentancur and Winks is the combination in midfield, everybody. Lucas, Son, and Kane. So instead of seeing Bentancur and Højbjerg, we are going to be treated with Bentancur and Winks. So we'll see. We'll see.
I think that's really interesting to see if Bentancur can step up and actually do what Højbjerg can't manage to do with Winks.
Yeah, I agree.
If he can manage that, it's a good gauge of how good the player is, isn't it?
I mean, you have to be world class if you can, still look good alongside.
Exactly.
Winks,
Let's see it.
So this is a true test. This is a true test, everybody.
Listen, guys. Conte's apologised about Wednesday, right? And I thought part of the apology was the fact he took off Winks before Højbjerg, but clearly he's staying stubborn on that, and he's keeping in, Winks over Højbjerg. I don't get it personally. I don't know what the chat thinks and you guys, but I'm personally confused by that. I'm happy Bentancur's starting, but I would have started Højbjerg and Bentancur. But let's just see how it goes. Let's try and stay positive about it. But that's the one I'm confused.
Yeah, you could see how furious he was about those long punts down the field from Højbjerg. Maybe it's because it's Højbjerg and he expects better from him. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just confused about that one. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah, let's see. But Dark Sun G, my goal scorers, Sonny. I'm going to go Son and Kane. I mean, the best combination of all of history, of all of time. But big yourself up, Dark Sun G. And we need to see that because they need to pass Lampard and Drogba, my man. They need to pass them to become the best Premier League duo of history, Dark Sun G. It would just be unbelievable. But just another one quickly from him. And he is saying, Sess to score then instead of Reggie. Why Winks? Oh, my God. I mean, potentially Sessegnon has a better finish. You would say Sessegnon, he's scored very few goals for Spurs, but the goals that he has scored have been some decent finishes, I must say, actually, from the kid. So maybe in that sort of moment, that Region had, perhaps Sessegnon would have buried it and Region just can't. And we'll see, Dark Sun G. Maybe we'll be proved wrong. Maybe all of a sudden, Winks looks spectacular alongside Bentancur. I don't know. I'm just going to start going delusion here.
Winks did actually look a lot better when Bentancur came on. So maybe Conte spotted that and he's just given a try out, see what they can do.
Yeah, I think honestly everybody looks good alongside Bentancur, to be honest, by the looks of it. So we'll see.
Do you know what? A key stat: first time Højbjerg hasn't been selected to start the Premier League when available for Spurs under Conte. That's interesting.
Yeah. I doubt it was the case under Jose at one stage. Well, I bet Jose never, left him on the bench. So it'll be interesting. Maybe a good.
Oh no, that's not even just Conte. Sorry, that is ever in the Premier League when he's been available.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought the stat
was going to be. That's what I thought the stat was going to be. So there you are, everybody. First time Pierre has been basically on the bench in basically his Spurs career in the Premier League when fully fit and available. So good lesson maybe for Pierre. A bit of a reality check maybe, but. Hopefully he just sees Winks on the pitch and he just, just turns red like a tomato and just fury and rage and then just gets on and just shows us what we're missing. But Dark Sun G says Huang on the bench and no Moutinho on the bench. So no Moutinho is even available. That is spectacular news. But Huang being on the bench certainly is, I would say, a threat. That is a huge threat. They could bring him on. Maybe I would say this is where the boys are coming from, Dark Sun G. 1-0, 2-0 might not be enough, especially when you got Hwang Hee-chan on the bench. I'll tell you that, Dark Sun G. But big yourself up, my man. But we are going to keep moving on. We are going to keep plowing on. Everybody, the lineups are down on the bottom there in that banner, just kind of sliding across. You can see exactly what the lineups look like. And like Dark Sun G here, everybody, do feel free to throw in your super chats if you do have, any sort of maybe comments on the lineups, any sort of complaints, any sort of worries, any sort of optimism. Feel free to throw it in a super chat. Also really does support the channel. But Kuva, all 7 of our Premier League defeats this season have happened in London. Is this a mentality issue? And why is our form so poor in London? Or maybe to my answer to this question, I actually don't really think there's much really to read into that. But do you think there is some sort of issue with maybe our poor form in London?
No, I think it's just the way the fixtures came out and, Nuno in charge losing the Palace and that sort of result. I mean, we easily reversed that when Conte arrived. So I think it's just coincidence.
Hoover, I thought you were going to say like air pollution in London's really affecting the players' lungs and everything like that. I thought we were going to get something like that from you.
The grass doesn't grow quite the way Davis likes it.
It's too much traffic around. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all just it's a different it's just a different atmosphere, I'll tell you that. But I like that answer, Kuba. I like that answer, which is why I'm going to give you another one. Do we expect to see a fast start again today, considering Tottenham were particularly impressive in the first half against the Seagulls and for the opening 20 minutes on Wednesday against the Saints? And how important is asserting our dominance in the opening stages of the game at home? Do you feel like Spurs, in order for us to win games, Kuba, do you feel like we have to start out fast? We have to come out fast?
Absolutely, especially at home. You've got to get the crowd on your side straight away. If the crowd's really quiet, that helps the away side. Why would you want that? Let's get in a few early chances. People's getting their bums off seats, cheering the team. We got our 12th man. You need it straight away. Put them on the back foot anyway. Don't give them any sort of encouragement that they can come to our place and play football. Stuff that. Get in their faces. Play aggressively. Play violently. play with full attacking intent. And just this is our place. We've got to turn this into a fortress again. It's no good teams coming here thinking they can play. We've got to be assertive. Doesn't matter who it is. We should have it to the point where even if it's Man City, Liverpool coming here, they don't fancy it. So, I mean, if we're going to sit back, it just gives teams encouragement. Yeah. So definitely be in their faces. Against Southampton, that was possibly the highlight there. Is that first sort of 18 minutes showed us what the way forward is under Conte. It's what we can do. Unfortunately, Southampton just rose to it, turned the turbo on, and we were left behind. But there we go. Is that a fitness issue?
It felt like they could sustain it. It felt like Southampton could sustain it. Also, I think even their it felt like they're more on the ball sort of tactics, just preserved possession for them more, where the way Conte likes to play, we've seen it. It's very fast. It's very, quick. It's dynamic. Conte's sort of teams, they don't really like to dwell on the ball and kind of, pick their moments. They just seem to just kind of go for the throat right away in the way they try to build out and try to, attack and, create their chances, where Southampton had a way of really preserving the ball and actually preserving possession and controlling the game. I know they created more chances than we did, but it's not like they created like an absolute plethora. It just felt like they just controlled the game. And they just kind of took us out of it and kind of choked us out of it to a degree.
Yeah, if you look at the clear-cut chances stat, then we're only just behind them on that. I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
But the way it made us feel so defeated was they almost kind of choked us out of the game. It felt like the way they were holding the ball and the way they were winning the ball back as well. Like in our own half, they would win the ball back in our own half, and it just felt
to be fair, I thought we were outstanding considering we play with no midfield or right back.
Yeah, 9 men. Yeah. Great performance.
Considering we started with 9 men from the start, an unbelievable performance from the lads. But we do move on here. James, Tottenham have lost 4 of their last 7 matches in all competitions, having been defeated just once in their first 11 games under Antonio Conte. Is this form of late due to maybe injuries, or are we seeing maybe a dip in form because of the usual suspects that all of a sudden, their good patch of form is maybe coming to an end?
A little bit of both, obviously, to start with. When Conte came in, there's a bit of momentum, obviously, with the new manager, the players wanting to play for their places, obviously, that extra level where they're trying to cement their places under a new manager and prove that they're actually worthy of this team. And also what you said there about, the poor form starting to creep in after good form, these players playing above.
There's an expiration date, it feels like, with some of these players.
Yeah,
good
so
form.
I use this phrase pretty much every podcast I come on. It's paper over the cracks, right? Ben Davies is paper over the cracks. Emerson, in a way, is paper over the cracks. Yeah. Harry Winks is paper over the cracks in this team. We're using these players to get to the summer to then buy players that are better than them. Well, that's what we all hope for, right? But there's always going to be a time where our team goes on a bit of a run. But when you have that kind of quality in your team that's not up to a Chelsea, Man United, well, not even Man United, Man City, Liverpool, you're going to become undone against teams that are really almost fighting for points. Like, you look at Southampton, I think they're 11th or 12th. But, 3 points for them is huge in terms of they're not going to get put back into that relegation mix, whereas we're just coasting along, sort of hoping for top 4, but at the same time we have got these absolute melons in the team that really do piss me off on a week by week basis. I'm sure one of them will do it to me today and do it to us all today, but trying to stay back on the positive bus. It's great that we're starting with 10 men today, not 9, because obviously Emerson's not playing. But yeah, this form is going to come back our way again, right? We're not just going to go on a massive down, and we're not just going to go and lose a load of games. Yes, we lost against Southampton. It's poor, and we've lost, and we haven't won 4 out of 7 or whatever that stat was. But let's not read into it too much. We also have played Chelsea recently, and we have had some tough games, and we've actually got a lot of tough games coming up. I believe we've got West Ham, Arsenal. So it's time to really get a win today. This is a huge game for the team. It's a huge game for top 4, and it's a huge game for some individuals in that team, including Harry Winks, to prove that he is worthy of that starting 11. And for example, I think the one we haven't talked about enough is Lucas Moura. It's a huge game for him. Lucas Moura is in poor form, and as Kuva said, hasn't scored 20 league games and league goals for Tottenham at all. So, you know, he's the one up for question. He's got Kulusevski right behind him. He's got Bergwijn right behind him, all sniffing for a start in 11 space. It's a huge game for him. For me, he has to get an assist or score a goal to keep his place, because the fans are already starting to get in his back. I love Lucas Moura. I think he's Tottenham through and through. He's an absolute, you know, do you put him in that legend category for just the Ajax game? That's up for debate, but he's absolutely Spurs through and through, and he needs to get back on that. Sometimes he just tries too hard. Sometimes he picks up the ball in midfield, tries running at defenders, and it's great when it comes off. But sometimes he needs to learn to offload the ball a bit earlier and get into dangerous positions to start, you know, contributing more with our goal threat as well.
Yeah, great answer there, James, everybody. Especially a great answer in front of 335 people in the house as well. So everybody in here, do drop that like, do as well drop that subscribe if you are new to the Irish Hotspur. We will be doing a watch along a bit later with Marcelo, everybody, and especially a lot of people will be happy to see Marcelo back for the watch alongs. But everybody, if you are new to the Irish Hotspur, if you are new to the Harris Army, do drop that subscribe, do hit it with an absolute forehead, almost like Sanchez would, to rise for a header for a corner. Absolutely smash it in. But Dark Sun G in here with a super chat yet again. Dark Sun G saying Wolves is playing a player called Cundlers. I think it's what's it like? Something like Chiquinho, maybe is who he means.
No, Luke Cundle. He's an English youngster.
Oh, maybe. I was thinking
he's only 19 years of age. He's a midfielder, and I believe Wolves are playing a 3-5-2, which I also wanted to mention. I don't.
They usually do a 3-4-3, so they've gone for 3 in the midfield here.
So I think that was interesting. I was going to mention that because we've obviously gone a 3-4-3 by the looks of things. So that's obviously might mean we need to actually put another midfielder in at some point. So watch out for that as well. Yeah,
watch out for that as well. I completely agree. Maybe that's what we do in case we do score early. Throw in Højbjerg, you know, alongside Winks and Bentancur, shore things up maybe a bit. That actually could
Lucas
work out.
Come off, I reckon.
Who knows? But Dark Sun G, I've never heard of Kundl or Kundl. What position does he play again? Does he play as a center mid?
I'm not sure if it's centre mid or it is sort of. You'd imagine so, but he's definitely a midfielder. Let me just double check. But yeah, he's in midfield with Neves and Dendoncker, and then they got eight Nuri on the left wing back and Semedo right wing back. So yeah, interesting
there, Dark Sun G. Yeah, his first start.
I bet you he's a very hard pressing sort of player.
Must be very. I mean, it's a huge opportunity for him. Even if he wasn't a hard presser, I bet for this game he would be hard pressing, just because he's given an excellent opportunity here. It's his first start for Wolves as well.
Listen, he's played 1 minute in the Premier League. He came on against Southampton in a 1 minute appearance.
But he must be doing something in training then, Kuva. He must be doing something that maybe Bruno Lage has seen.
Yeah, because that manager certainly seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah,
he's
I really rate
incredibly difficult to beat. They're even with a very slim top 4 chance, aren't they?
No,
if they beat us today, they're well in with a shout. But
they're pulling off what Nuno did that season, where like they just were like just a total, just annoyance to play kind of team.
I mean, the thing we're forgetting is if they beat us today, they go above us.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Not forgetting that.
All I can say, Dark Sun G. All I can say is it must be kind of, he must be doing something in training. He must be doing something that's impressed Bruno Lage, which worries me. And like Uwe said, he also probably is going to be pressing his living mind out today. But then again, Wolves are one of the least pressing teams in the entire league. So maybe he'll just be really defensively solid and organized and, won't be switching off and, we won't catch him off guard. That's all I can say. Dara, though, saying club comes to Spurs knowing they will get chances. Do you feel that way, James? Maybe do you feel like maybe is that a sort of symptom of Dr. Tottenham as, teams sometimes come to us knowing that, if your attack is not doing so great, come over to Spurs, we'll fix your attack for you.
Yeah, I love that from Dara, actually. It's like insert word at the start, like whether it's Wolves, Chelsea, Palace, come to Spurs and, come and
fix
have
your
a few
attacking
chances.
woes.
Fix your shot accuracy stats for like all the apps, fix your, shots on goal, your expected goals, really get in the limelight for your managers and come and perform in attack. It's a good point. These players are getting serious chances. Che Adams bagged one against us on Wednesday and goes and scores at Old Trafford on Sunday. Like, not a bad week for him, is it? On Saturday,
No.
sorry.
Yeah.
Che Adams hasn't done a lot this year and suddenly he's scoring goals.
Yeah, good for him.
You could even put the words lower league at the start of that.
yeah, Morecambe. Yeah, come and say you've scored at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Brilliant. Fantastic.
Dark Sun G, big up Dara, though. Really do appreciate it. Dark Sun G saying 4 out of 7 losses in all comps is Chelsea, and 3 of them were Chelsea and 1 of them were Southampton. So I don't read too much on the form, because if we had Son and Romero versus Blues, might have been different. Perhaps if we did have Sonny and Romero, maybe one of those Chelsea games could have gone perhaps a bit differently. I actually agree, considering that there was at least 2 of those Chelsea games. You would say there was at least one half where Spurs played extraordinarily better than Chelsea did. It was just we weren't clinical and we didn't really have a lot of quality going forward. So we just couldn't really score is really all it was. There were times when Gio Lo Celso, you were going back to the stages where like, I don't think Gio Lo Celso can lift it 5 feet off the ground. There were moments where Doherty was through on goal. There were moments when Harry Kane was playing people left and right and behind goal. And it was like, if just one of those players was Sonny, I feel he probably would have actually maybe, gotten a point or something like that, one of those Chelsea games. So I actually agree, Dark Sun G, as well as having someone like Romero up against Lukaku could have been really different story. Lukaku and Romero, I mean, it's like just 2 gladiators going at it. Would have been beautiful to see. But as well as Romero's had a lot of success against Lukaku in the past. So that could have been interesting. I actually agree with you, Dark Sun G. So maybe not a lot to read into those games. Doesn't really say maybe a lot about the form. So I'm kind of with you, Dark Sun G, but the question has to be asked regardless to see if they will crumble, to see if they'll crumble in front of me. But there you are. We have seen, though, Kuva, Winks, Sanchez, and Davies do this before, these sort of performances from last time under previous managers, where they play well for a while, but then all of a sudden their form seems to drop off and mistakes happen and bad performances and results start to kind of creep in. Should we be concerned that this is happening, Kuva? Do you feel like maybe there is a bit of an expiration date on players like the form of players like Sanchez, Winks, and Davies? Do you feel like all of a sudden, maybe we're starting, to see the harsh realities of what these players actually are?
If I was really cynical, I'd say transfer window just shut. Winks has been bad again.
Yeah, it's kind of like Dele Alli used to do too.
To read that into that what you will, but at the end of the day, these are players we do want to replace. We can't escape that fact. It's we're having to make do. It's a repeating sort of cycle. You can't make a world-class player out of somebody who's just not gifted. It doesn't matter what you do. You can get them to work hard. You can get them to try and listen and try their best to fit into some sort of defensive sort of shape. But there's not a lot more you can do with them. I'm glad Emerson's dropped because despite it being Doherty in, at least he might actually have some sort of sense about how to defend when he's in his own area. At least Doherty, you'd think perhaps he knows he's got to keep his vision so he can see an attacker and the ball at the same time, rather than let somebody stand behind him and have no clue where he is. So perhaps it's a shoring up job on there and just sacrificing the fact that he's not going to be able to get forward anyway. We'll concentrate on the left. It's bad news. We had to change something at the back there because that Sanchez and Emerson combination was just diabolical. I think teams will pick it out. I mean, unfortunately, when you play us at the moment, I was thinking about this last night. What would I do if I was Wolves? They usually do sit back, like you said. But what are we susceptible to as being pressed? So in this game, I thought pack the midfield, pick some pressing players in there, and then you just basically sit a player on Harry Kane. That's it. We're dealt with.
Yeah, that's it. We're dealt with. You're absolutely right. I mean,
Then just wait for the mistakes. that's the way I'll play against us.
Maybe to that, and kind of final points here, kind of guys, before we kind of maybe start, wrapping things up and, plugging channels and whatnot. Do you feel like James, a few more questions here. Do you feel like James, I don't know, like we've come up against Brighton and Southampton, 2 different results, 2 teams though that really press, 2 teams that really come out the gates fast, 2 teams that play very similarly. But now we're coming up against Wolves, who just play almost entirely opposite to that sort of style, but also are a really good team. Do you feel like we play better against teams that sit back against us, or do you think we play better against teams that maybe come out and really press us? It's tough.
It's a really good question, that one. I was actually surprised we beat Brighton and lost to Southampton. Although you're right in saying they both press and they both play similar. And Wolves, obviously, like you said, sit back and almost soak up the pressure and try and get like a nice 1-0, which they've done a few times already recently. Yeah. I was surprised that it was Brighton out of the 2 that we beat. But I think also we did play bad against Southampton. Like, there's no getting around that. Southampton were brilliant. But do you know what? I think it just depends on... I don't think it depends too much on how the team plays. I think it depends on how much we press as a team and how much we come out the blocks. Because at the end of the day, you could have a team that sits back or you could have a team that presses. But if we beat the team that presses well... with our pressing game, which, by the way, was top out of 20 since Conte's come in the Premier League. We've covered the most distance out of any other team. And under Nuno, it was 20th out of 20. So that tells you an awful lot about how Conte's system plays. We're a pressing team. And actually, I didn't see that on against Southampton. We let them play against us. We weren't pressing. And I'd love to know the stats compared to our average this season, because I feel like we pressed an awful lot less against Southampton than we did against other teams like Brighton and other teams before that. So I think, in answer to your question, I don't think it matters too much. But I think maybe today Wolves will sit back more than Southampton did. And therefore, it will be better and we will come out the blocks more to start with over them.
Yeah, great answer there, James. To be honest, to answer that, I mean, I think Ishan said last night on Stats with Jack that we are like sitting directly in the middle in terms of, pressing numbers when it comes to the league. So maybe it really does seem like some games will press really high, some games we won't.
It was top. So even from just saying that, you started to see that we've started to come off the accelerator a bit. Maybe like Kuva said, the January transfer window's been, the players are on holiday now again till the summer, and then they're back in that shop window. So let's see how it is today. I
think even the whole distance covered, though, I think the distance covered, it wasn't exactly a lot had to do with pressing. I think actually a lot of it had to do with we would go from a really deep sort of shape, and then we would all of a sudden expand to being really deep in the opposition half, which means an extraordinary number of players cover a lot of distance, in that sort of kind of sitting deep and then going forward, sitting deep and then going forward. An extraordinary, distance will be covered. So I don't think all of it actually was stats. I think it was kind of like, kind of lied to us a bit, that sort of stat.
Yeah, you can always like swing a stat to make it look, more impressive.
I don't think they were trying to drive the narrative that Spurs were pressing harder. I think they were trying to drive the narrative that Conte is making them work a lot harder, and they are in much better shape than they ever were before. I think that's what the case is.
Just look at Reguilon. Look how far he runs to get in attack every single time. There was 3 or 4 times against Southampton where he was free on that left wing position, right? And he was steaming forward. And there was a couple of times they ignored him. I was like, please play it to him. And eventually they played it to him and he messed up, as we know. But that's just one example of how many players run forward in our attack. You got Reguilon one side going down there. You got Emerson down the other side going in there.
I'm actually convinced that's the only reason Emerson. I really have lost a lot of faith in Emerson, and now I'm starting to believe that's maybe the only reason Emerson is maybe picked over Doherty now. It's just because Emerson can actually cover more distance, I think, than Doherty can. Because Emerson, I will say, Emerson, the way that guy covers distance at the end of the day, I would put money on him winning like a Spurs marathon or like something like that. Because that guy really does have an unbelievable engine. Despite him not being a good footballer, an unbelievable engine that he does have.
You pick Emerson because it's absolutely crucial to be shit in both halves of the field, isn't it?
you know what,
he needs to prove. He needs to get up and down to prove that he's shit in both halves of the pitch in order to really.
You know what though about Emerson? Like everyone, there's probably people in this chat saying, "Oh my god, thank goodness Emerson isn't playing." And to an extent, I agree. He probably did deserve to be dropped. But let's also not forget that it has only been 20 games he's played for us. Maybe not even that. Like people are quick to just suddenly say a player is terrible and want to get rid of him. But let's not remember we wanted to get rid of Serge Aurier, and some people were actually saying, "Oh, maybe he wasn't that bad after all." So maybe let's not wish for some stuff that we don't regret. Okay, Kuva, you're not regretting Aurier, but there is some people I've seen on social media that are saying maybe Aurier wasn't that bad.
No, that's when it starts to get a bit crazy. But
once every 18 games or so, he'd have a blinder.
Exactly.
I will say though, maybe on Emerson's case, I will say he just had one of the worst performances I've seen a right back have in a Spurs kit in some time. But
you've never seen Pascal Chimbonda.
What I am about to say though is cast your mind maybe when Emerson was first playing, especially under Nuno. There are a few games under Nuno when we were like, Emerson, man of the match, maybe.
Yeah,
exactly. And there were games when even under Conte at first, we were like, Emerson, man of the match. Emerson, kind of up there. So I would say there are games when Emerson, he does kind of give you the illusion that there is someone in there. He does give you that illusion. I'm still going to keep hope. But he really has recently, I would say, kind of definitely disappointed.
And Mojo Fin Bear makes a really good point in the comments here. Doherty is worse. He's the worst right back in the phone by a mile. So let's not forget, when we drop Emerson, we've got Doherty, who's been moaned at a lot more. So let's see how he does today as well.
Well, you can spin things the other way around as well. James, what's your opinion on Doherty?
I thought I got away with answering that one, to be honest with you, Kuva. Like I said, let's see how he gets on today. But I'm definitely not Doherty's biggest fan. I've been screaming at this guy.
20 odd games as well. Do we keep giving him a chance?
Yeah, you've got a good point. But let's not forget also Doherty, when he has had chances, and he has had chances in that starting 11, like when he's coming over Aurier last season, he got a red card against Leeds when we were 3-0 up. Like, what is he doing? Silly decisions like that, when actually he should be a more experienced player than Emerson. He's a lot older than Emerson. He was very good at Wolves. He scored all those goals, and we just saw this absolute reverse player where he didn't.
He's a gooner, man. He's a gooner. He's a spy in disguise. He's just rotting the club from the inside out.
He's part of MI Arsenal. Exactly that.
Yeah, Benedict Tampa saying, loving the beard, Jack. Big ups, brother. I will say I've not been taking care of it, and it is going to be shaved at some point today. So at least you're enjoying it while it lasts, Benedict. You're enjoying it while it lasts.
Maybe you could manscape the skull predictions onto your cheeks.
That's the whole point of Manscaped, though, Kuva. The whole point of Manscaped is to keep that away from the face. You're supposed to have 2 razors, one from the down under and one for your face, Kuva. That's why I can tell, Kuva, you need to get Manscaped, because you're even making that joke. Shows that you use one razor for 2 parts of the body, which is just disgusting. I love
the fact we got onto the ad there. That was brilliant. That was fantastic work from you, Kuva, to set up the ad. That was awesome.
What an opportunity.
Yeah, excellent plug there. But everybody, we do have some some time to plug before we kind of wrap up here. James, thank you so much for joining today for quick little pre-match build-up, quick little pre-match pump-up. Honestly, time really did fly by. I had way too many questions to work with. But James, tell us maybe a bit about Spurs related, what people can find over there.
Yeah, no, Jack, honestly, absolute pleasure to come on. Thanks for inviting me on. Couldn't quite cover the boots of, obviously, Dave Harris in there, but who can at the end of the day? But no, it was good to talk with you and Kuva, and I'm feeling a little bit more positive about today. You can find Spurs Related over on all socials. Probably a lot of you follow us on Instagram, where we kind of have the main sort of bunch of you, nearly 65,000 of you over there, which is crazy. But obviously, we're trying to grow the YouTube channel now. We just hit over 600, which is crazy. We're trying to hit that 1,000 mark as soon as possible, and we're live pretty much every day at the moment. We do match previews, match reviews. Fan phoning Friday is becoming a popular thing, where people jump in and give their opinion for a few minutes, and it creates brilliant discussion points like on here. So yeah, guys, come and check us out. Spurs Related, subscribe. It would mean an awful lot, and you guys see me a lot on here as well. So just keep supporting this channel with your super chats and everything else. But yeah, cheers. Thanks a lot, Jack.
No problem. Everybody hit that link right there. Absolutely smash that subscribe button. They're flying right now, Spurs related, and they deserve to be. So everybody head on over to Spurs related, over to their channel. But Kuva, Tottenham Tantrum Gold, tell us what they can find over there. And also Kuva, absolute pleasure to have you back on here for a preview. Tell us
Cheers,
what they
Jack.
can find over at Tottenham Tantrum Gold.
Cheers, chat. Been fun. Been fun with James as well. We've had a laugh in the last couple of things we've been on.
Definitely the last few questions. Yeah, we went on.
Yeah, absolutely. Go a bit left field sometimes. Anyway, Tottenham Tantrum Gold. We're about the nostalgia. We're about the old days. We're about winning trophies. When we used to do that, this forgotten art that the club used to have and did it on a regular basis. Worship your heroes. Never forget the club's history. Because without the club's history, we've got nothing. We're just plastic corporate rubbish. The history is what makes this, is what defines us. It's what we should be looking to recreate. Start winning some things. And that's what we're all about.
If you need to be reminded, everybody, of where the history is, basically, if you want to know what a Spurs fan and a librarian sort of combination would be, it would be like Kuva and Dermot. I would say they're like the librarians of Tottenham Hotspur. They give you basically.
He could be the librarian then.
I would be maybe the hipster librarian probably in there, trying to check out, still using the library card. But there you are, everybody. And basically, if any certain Spurs player needs a history lesson, it would come from Kuva and it would come from Dermot. I will tell you that. So everybody, head on over to Tottenham Tantrum Gold, a channel that really does have a close place in David and I's heart. So please head on over there and give that subscribe as well. I mean, they need to be flying. I think they're at 350. So I want to see them at 400 probably by the end of the month. I think that's what they're shooting for. So let's get them over there, Harris Army. But before we wrap up, we do have a super chat in here from Dara. He's saying only Spurs can have a discussion about who is the best of the three crap right backs. Easy to settle. They are all crap. I've said this before, Dara, because sometimes when we have criticized Conte, it's like, oh, I don't think Conte is getting the best out of Harry Winks. It's like, do you really think 3 years ago you would be saying out loud Conte's not getting the best out of Harry Winks? Like, all of a sudden, where the fact that Conte's even being mentioned with some of these players, the fact that Conte even is in the same dressing room as some of these players, I feel like he's being paid every cent that he deserves, because there's no reason Antonio Conte should be relegated. I do mean relegated to the level of using Harry Winks and players like that, because it is a bit shocking. I feel bad for the guy at times. I genuinely do. The fact that I could be criticized about whether I'm not playing Harry Winks or Ben Davies in the right position, I would be like, wow. I mean, all of a sudden, it's like, what do you have to do to get some respect?
It's laughable.
Sorry, go on, Jay.
No, go on. I was just going to say it's absolutely laughable. Like that, Jack's just summarised it perfectly there. Conte working with Davies and Winks.
If you told me that 3 years ago, like if someone said 3 years ago, like, James, I feel like Conte's not getting the best out of Davinson Sanchez, he'd be like, all right, where's the nearest loony bin? We need to get this guy. Like,
but then when you compare it to like Conte working with Ashley Young and Victor Moses, it's kind of a bit like that level. Like, what is going on? These guys are obviously washed up players. They're not decent players, and actually turned them into good things. But I'm trying to spin it off on a positive on this one. But it is also an absolute joke.
What I find even more hilarious is who were we linked with in the summer, and then we didn't get him at the end of the transfer window in January. Oh, trying to make another right wing back out of Adama Traore. I mean, the bloke can't even play football.
Looking at the stats yesterday, though, Adama Traore absolutely wrecking like every stat in that Wolves team. Still to this day, I mean, he's definitely left a mark, I would say, on that team, because it will be a while before they ever pass him on some of those stats. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, the mark's probably in baby oil or something like that as well.
It's going to take a while to get it out.
Shaped
cycles.
Hole at the end of the stadium where he can't stop running. That's what.
Yeah,
he probably just ran through the stadium once he got the ticket out of there. But Dara, all I could say is absolutely only Spurs fans can have heated debates about whether we're getting the best out of which crap right back. Which it's only this fan base that can have heated debates. You're absolutely right in that regard. But Dara, do really appreciate it, and you're absolutely spot on, my man. Adrian Chia saying we used to win stuff when the year ends with a 1. Yeah, I mean that got ruined, I believe, last year. So especially under Jose, you thought it was all in the cards. Jose, year ending in 1, just all seemed like it was written in the stars for us to win something. But maybe a certain man upstairs had something to do with that, and maybe spoiled the spoiled our fortune. But Paul Markey here saying, starting to lose confidence in Conte. Wally Winks selected again. Get ready to lose. This is my thing, though.
Whoa.
You can't lose confidence in Conte here, Paul, because that's what I mean. If he's having to pick Harry Winks and Højbjerg and all these sort of players, and Højbjerg, again, has not been rested ever. So I do feel like that is a bit of a concern. Apparently, he's even recently recovered from COVID, which is also quite concerning. You do feel like he's going to have to play Harry Winks, and he's going to try to find the best sort of solution for Harry Winks. But to say that like a world-class manager, someone that's in the same pedigree as sort of the Klopps and the Guardiolas of the world, like the fact that you would be telling Pep Guardiola, like, listen, I need you to get the best out of Harry Winks here, Pep. Like, it just doesn't compute. It just doesn't, feels like it's just way too fancy or way too quality of a manager with way too poor of players to even work with. It just doesn't mix. It doesn't work. So I feel like you just can't personally criticize him or even lose confidence in him. There's no way you can lose confidence in Conte. There's just no way, Paul. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry, because there's no reason. These are not the players he should be working with. These are not the players. These are not the players that you should be making your judgments of Conte about.
Do you know what?
The players that you should make your judgment on Conte about are that when he had Barella, when he had Pogba, when he had Marquisio, when he had Matic in the midfield, when he had all these sort of players, back in the day, those are the players you should judge him on, not Harry Winks, at the end of the day for me.
Yeah, exactly. Look at his Chelsea side. Look at his Inter Milan side compared to our starting 11
Judge him
now.
on those players and what he achieved with that.
It's levels above, and you can see that he wins trophies. He gets the players he needs eventually in like an 18-month project normally. Let's not forget he's only not even 6 months into this tenure, and he's still working with this dead wood. Yes, we got rid of a lot of it. We got rid of Dele Alli, Lo Celso, and Ndombele. We know that. But we've also still got a lot of dead wood that are papering over the cracks. I've said it like 3 times now. Let's get to the summer, get rid of the rest of the deadwood, get these players in that Jack said that the usual caliber of players he's used to, then judge Conte, because that's when he'll start to make the gravy happen. At the moment, you're losing confidence in not Conte, you're losing confidence in the fact he has to choose some of these players. Yes, you could say Højbjerg should start over Winks, but also he still shouldn't be a contention point. It still shouldn't be up for debate. Like,
love it.
Winks shouldn't be in this discussion at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll prefer to concentrate on the fact that Bentancur is starting rather than Winks' ability.
Yeah, to be honest, and I'll jump off my Højbjerg bandwagon as well, and just kind of just say I'm going to be optimistic. Maybe he'll see something in Winks, But also, I just feel like there's just no reason to judge Conte. There's no reason, my man. But Bobby says, can we play Winky at right back in the changing room?
Love that classic joke.
Big up, Bobby. Big up, Bobby. Paul Markey saying, can't agree. Would play my mother before Winks. He just really doesn't. He just doesn't rate Winks that. I see where you're coming from, then, Paul. I see where you're coming from.
I'm going to refrain from a yo mama joke.
You've made it clear. You've made it clear. He almost doesn't rate. He rates Winks even less than seems like David Harris does. So, Paul, I see where you're coming from now. I see where you're coming from.
What's a comment? That's class from Paul.
We will wrap up, everybody. About like 7-8 more minutes until we basically got to get started with the watch along. So we just plugged the channel, everybody. Do head on over to Spurs Related. Do head on over to Tottenham Tantrum Gold. Thank you so much, you two, for joining me. Thank you, Dark Sun G. Thank you, everyone else, for supporting. Thank you, everyone else, for joining us today. As always, like I said, if you haven't already, while you're on out of here, do drop that like, do drop that subscribe if you have been new to it. But that'll be all for now, boys. It's game day. Come on, you Spurs. And Conte we trust.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Here we go.